Alex, I realized this morning that my relationship with my shop floor is purely recreational. I spend half my life making a mess, and the other half wondering where that one specific brass screw went when it hit the concrete.
Bold of you to assume it's still in this dimension, Tiger. Once it hits the floor, it belongs to the shop gods. But hey, at least you're making mess with purpose today. We've got some heavy hitters to talk about.
We do. And speaking of heavy hitters, Milwaukee is out here trying to make sure I never have to plug anything into a wall ever again. They just dropped the 2026 specs for the new M18 and MX Fuel cordless demo hammers and rotary hammers.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about demolition hammers, like the rattle your teeth out of your skull kind of tools. You're telling me those are finally going full cordless without dying after 5 minutes?
That's the dream, right? Here's what I wish someone had told me 10 years ago. It's not just about the battery life, it's about the vibration damping. These new units are claiming corded level power for chipping concrete.
Okay, but what about when the battery dies mid-chip? Then you're just standing there holding a very expensive, very heavy paperweight while your client watches you.
See, that's where the old guard skepticism kicks in. But the tech in 2026 isn't what it was in 2020. These MX Fuel batteries are designed for high draw. What they don't put in the manual, though, is that you basically need a dedicated charging station that looks like a small power plant to keep up. Let's just say I paid tuition on that lesson when I tried to run a whole site off one extension cord and a prayer.
Speaking of organized chaos, you saw the update on the Klein mod boxes. Apparently, they've reworked the interlocking system.
It's about time. I love modular storage, but some of those early systems felt like playing with giant, overpriced Legos that didn't quite click.
You're just mad because you can't stack them high enough to hide your unfinished projects.
Hey, that's a structural privacy wall. But seriously, if you're a pro, the modular pro movement is the real deal this year. Efficiency is the only way to stay profitable when gas and materials are where they are.
You know, it's interesting you mention efficiency. I was looking at the trade career trends for this year. The HVAC world is getting weird in a good way.
Weird how?
It's not just wrenches and refrigerant anymore. There are these HVAC influencers on TikTok. Yeah, I know, don't roll your eyes, who are basically the new recruitment offices for Gen Z. They're showing that 2026 is the year of smart home integration.
Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about being a modern tech. You aren't just a mechanic, you're an IT specialist. If you can't bridge the gap between a furnace and an IoT sensor, you're going to be left behind.
Exactly. It's basically a skill tree now. You need the mechanical chops, sure, but you also need to know how to talk to a house that's smarter than the person living in it.
I've had many a conversation with a thermostat that ended in me losing my temper. But that's the gold mine. If you're a kid looking to get into the trades right now, don't just learn how to solder pipe. Learn how data moves. That's where the pro rates are.
Let's talk about the hobbyists for a second. The maker mogul side of things. I see all these people on Etsy still trying to sell live, laugh, love signs carved out of pine. Is that still a thing?
Only if you want to go broke slowly. The market has shifted hard toward functional personalization. People don't want more dust collectors. They want custom desk organizers for their hybrid offices or modular storage for their own hobbies.
So less decor and more utility.
Exactly. And look at the keywords. Sustainable, reclaimed, bamboo. If it looks like it came from a big box store, people will just buy it at a big box store. They want a story. They want to know that the walnut in their headphone stand was salvaged from a barn in Ohio.
Okay, but what about the CNC side hustle? Every YouTube thumbnail for the last 5 years has been make $1,000 a month with this machine. Is that dead?
Nobody warns you about this, but the generic sign market is a race to the bottom. If you're competing on price, you've already lost. But, and this is a big but, the money right now is in micro manufacturing.
Micro what?
Micro manufacturing. Think replacement parts for vintage gear or specialized jigs for other makers. I once spent 3 days trying to find a specific plastic knob for a 1970s drill press. If someone was selling a precision-milled aluminum version on Etsy, I would have paid $50 in a heartbeat.
So stop making art and start making solutions.
Ask me how I know that's the better path. Let's just say my artistic period resulted in a lot of very beautiful firewood.
Speaking of firewood, did you catch the Rob Cosman session on milling yesterday?
I did. And look, I know milling four sides flat, S4S, is the most boring topic in the world to a beginner. Everyone wants to get to the joinery and the finishing,
It's like learning to scale a fish before you cook it. It's messy and tedious.
but it's the difference between a huge profit project and this looks like a middle school shop project disaster. What the old timers know but don't share is that every mistake you make in a project usually starts at the joiner. If your board isn't flat, your dovetails won't line up, your glue ups will fail, and you'll be crying into your sawdust.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me my wobbly coffee table isn't rustic charm? It's just bad milling?
I'm not saying that out loud, but look, if you spend the time to master the foundation, the rest of the build is actually easy. Don't ask me how I figured this out, actually do ask. It involved a $400 slab of babinga and a lot of swearing.
So, what's the takeaway for the Sunday crowd? We've got cordless demo hammers, HVAC influencers, and the death of the live laugh love sign.
The takeaway is that the craft is becoming tech. Whether you're in a service van or a basement workshop, the tools are getting smarter and the customers are getting more specific. You can't just be a guy with a hammer anymore.
You have to be a guy with a hammer who knows how to calibrate a sensor and optimize an Etsy tag.
Truth. But at the end of the day, there is still nothing more satisfying than the sound of a sharp plane taking a whisper-thin shaving off a piece of cherry.
Even if that shaving ends up in your coffee.
Especially then, it adds fiber.
Well, that's all for the TigerDen Daily. Go make something today, preferably something flat.
And something you can't buy at a mall. We'll see you in the shop.